If you're building a mid-size mass-market crossover in 2019, it is vital to do something that allows you to stand out from the crowd, which is precisely what Citroen has tried to do with its latest contender, the C5 Aircross. But before we get into this CarGurus UK review, here is a quick reminder to hit the like button if you like our video, to subscribe and to turn on notifications so that you'll never miss when one of our videos goes live. So what exactly has Citroen done to stand out from the sea of other crossovers on the market? Well, there's a few things. Let's start with the design. Certainly this thing is chunky and robust like you'd expect of an SUV, but it also has a bit of flair to it, like these split level headlights, these different shapes and colours. You can customise the car with contrasting roofs and stuff like that. So there's that. There's also what they've done in the back. For a 5-seater SUV, which is what the C5 Aircross is, it is unusual to find 3 proper individual seats in the back, but that's what you get with the Citroen. Plus, there's a completely flat floor, and what that means is that it's easy to carry 3 adults in the back. And although this middle seat doesn't have ISOFIX, there are other clever things in here. So, for example, you can slide the seats to trade legroom for more boot space, and you can recline them to get more comfortable. Plus, just in terms of space, this thing's excellent. So I'm 5'11", headroom's okay. I've got the sunroof in this car and it's still fine. And also legroom is really good. The rear seats can also be folded flat to boost boot space if needed. The boot of this car is also really big. Now, we've explained how you can move those back seats forward to create more space, but even when they're all the way back, as they are now, this is still a really generous load area, and it kind of meets all the expectations that you might have of a crossover like this. So it's a good square shape, and there is a level loading lip, so you don't have to kind of lift things over that. Plus, you can pop a few more bits under the floor if you need to, or you can move the whole floor down, like so, to make the boot a bit deeper. Basically, Citroen has done everything right. Okay, I have got a nice high up driving position here. I've got a good commanding view of the road, and the C5 Aircross does feel like a substantial proper SUV. It's also very roomy inside. It feels like a big car and there's lots of storage. Okay, admittedly, this glove box is a bit stingy, but there's big door bins, another tray here, another one here, cup holders, and this central cubby is so big you could almost lose your arm in there. As is becoming increasingly common these days with new cars, we have a digital dial display. It's really big in the Citroen, but it is not as configurable as one of the Volkswagen Group alternatives, whether that's in a Volkswagen, a Seat, a Skoda, or so on. The infotainment system, meanwhile, is familiar from other Citroen and Peugeot products. That in turn means it's generally okay, but the sat-nav can be a bit laggy, and having to use the screen to adjust the heating is still a pain. While this system isn't perfect, it does come with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which helps to disguise a lot of its weaknesses. And in terms of overall interior design and quality, the C5 Aircross isn't quite up there with the Peugeot 3008 and 5008 with their iCockpits. It doesn't feel as special, the materials aren't quite as nice. However, it's still a perfectly pleasant place to spend time. Despite the recent shift towards petrol power, there is no denying that a big SUV like this still works really well with diesel too. Now, you can have petrol engines with a C5 Aircross, but the 2-litre 180 horsepower diesel we've got here does suit it very well indeed. It's got lots of low down torque for good pulling power, and it suits this 8-speed automatic gearbox really well. It feels responsive and powerful. This engine is frugal too. The official stats say it should do 47 miles per gallon, and in our tests we've been getting 47 miles per gallon. Fancy that. To return to our original point though, what we're looking for in a modern crossover is a point of difference. In Citroen's case, it's saying that The C5 Aircross is more comfortable than other SUVs. So it has these advanced comfort seats which have a bit more foam in them and, I don't know, perhaps feel a bit wider than normal car seat. And I have to say they are extremely comfortable. And then with the suspension, it has fitted hydraulic cushions at either end of the damper's travel. The result, says Citroen, is a magic carpet-like ride. This is all part of Citroen's advanced comfort strategy, which also includes fitting more sound deadening so the car is quieter. Now, absolute credit to Citroen for doing this. It fits perfectly with its heritage, and I have to say the diesel engine in this car does seem particularly refined. But on the suspension front, while I can detect a difference when you're coming off speed bumps, for example, you can feel those air cushions smoothing things out. Actually, in most day-to-day driving, I'm not sure that the C5 Aircross is much better really than any other softly suspended SUV, and I certainly wouldn't describe it as magic carpet-like. Given the overt focus on comfort, it's no surprise to hear that Citroen isn't making any claims about the C5 Aircross being a sporty drive, and it's absolutely not a sporty drive. But it's also not overly squishy or cumbersome, it's just fine, you know, in the same way that most of these mid-size crossovers are fine. If you want an SUV of this size that is good fun to drive, then have a look at a Mazda CX-5 instead. However, that is not to say that the C5 Aircross is without merit. It's like we said at the start, if you're gonna build a car like this, you need to do things to make it stand out, and Citroen has. There's those clever rear seats, and although it might perhaps not be the revolution in comfort that Citroen is pitching it as, it does feel different enough to stand out. I think this is a really good car. Before we go, here's another reminder to subscribe and turn on notifications. And remember, when it comes to choosing your next car, you can easily find great deals from top-rated dealers at cargurus.co.uk.